Hey guys, it's Istebrak. I wanted to make this video because I feel like it's time I address it. And I run a channel about art and critiques and how important it is to be part of a community and how vital critiques are to your improvement. And I've never really talked about critiques as a thing, like as a subject matter. So it's time we just buckled down and talked about it honestly. Critiques aren't something easy to get, and they aren't something easy to give. And I find myself in a really difficult situation sometimes where I know that I'm coming from an honest place, but people still find themselves offended by the critique. I think it's very default for you to be offended by critiques, but let me make my case. Let me give you some reasons why you should listen to critiques. And I've divided them into try to organize how to think about them. But pretty much it goes like this. So, why should you listen to critiques? The reasons that are coming up aren't related to knowledge. They aren't related to the fact that someone knows more than you about art. Someone who doesn't have anything to do with art, someone who isn't an artist, can still give you critiques, and these reasons fall under that as well. So, wait, why should I listen? Whoopsie. Sorry about my writing. To critiques. Okay, as an artist, you as an artist. They help you see, critiques help you see what you couldn't see on your own. And you never will see on your own. And the only time you'll see it on your own is if you spent a month away from it and you improved within that month and you finally look back at your art that you did a month ago or a year ago. That's the only time you'll ever see what mistakes you were making in your drawing. So, saying that, why would you want to wait that long before you can fix a mistake today? That's not efficient learning. The point of my teaching, whatever I try to teach, is I don't just try to make people work and do homework and listen to my lectures and take notes. I want to see that they are actively, efficiently learning, that without they would never have learned this much if it wasn't for the critique, because the critique is an efficient way of learning faster, retaining more knowledge at a shorter amount of time, Instead of spending a year learning how to draw hands, you can learn it in a couple of days just by doing the right kind of study or the right kind of technique and thinking about shapes. Like, that's efficient learning. Same thing with learning efficiently while drawing on your own without a teacher. The person who gives you critiques in your community, even if they don't know art, even if they have anything to do with art, they don't have anything to do with art, they still have a valid viewpoint because they'll see what you don't see. They'll see that, you drew the arm too long. They'll see that both arms aren't the same size. They'll see that kind of the perspective is a little bit off. They won't know why it hurts their eyes, but they'll tell you that it does. And that is gold. You want that. You need that as an artist. Ask everybody. I don't know who the artist was, but I was like 5 years old. No, not 5 years old. I was in grade five. There's a five in there. And I was watching YTV. I don't know if any of you lived in Canada, but there's a channel called YTV, and that's where you got to see Naruto and Scaflone and Inuyasha. That was where you wanted to be as an artist. That was the channel you watched. So it's like the Cartoon Network equivalent of Canada, in Canada. So there was an artist there. They had this whole Anime North special, which is basically like a convention for anime fans. And he was talking about how to improve his art because there was like an artist alley, like the San Diego Comic Con, but it was in Canada. And he was talking about how he was improving. He was talking about what made him improve so much that he started doing all these crazy comics. And he said, I would go door to door in my neighborhood until everyone knew me by name and asked them, hey, what looks wrong in this image? What looks right in this image? Can you believe he did that? That was before the internet. That was before crazy television. That was before all of the, social media things that we have today. He went door to door and asked people, hey, does this drawing look nice? What don't you like about it? He actually did that the day I heard him say that on that TV channel, and I had my crazy sketchbook and my stolen my stolen printer paper, and I was just sitting there drawing and copying what I saw on the television and drawing anime and drawing whatever. That changed my life forever. I couldn't believe he went door to door. I'm like, I should be doing that. My parents had strict no outdoors too much policy, so I couldn't do that. But at school, I got that with my friends. I would ask them, "Hey, what's this? Do you guys like this? What looks wrong? What? Tell me your thoughts." They didn't draw. Nobody drew other than me and like another girl, when I was in elementary. So I didn't really have any connection to people, and artists. I mean, a connection to a community. So they still, all the words that they gave me, all the thoughts they gave me, still mattered, and most of it was from family as well. My sister would just insult my drawings, and I'll talk about that in a second. But she would just say, like, that looks gross. She has like a giraffe. What is she, half giraffe? Like, because I drew the necks too long for a while there. I don't know how to measure the neck length. So yeah, that still changed my art, and I still was offended, but it still managed to change the way I draw. The next time I never drew a long neck again after that. I still remember. I still talk about it today, the day she said that, because it was like, why didn't I see that? That was what was bothering me. I couldn't believe that I didn't see it. By the time my sister had said that to me, I was drawing full bodies, full sketches, hair, props and arrows and bows and swords, and I was trying to draw full characters. I was ready for that. I was ready to create full people. And I couldn't see that the necks were too long for some reason. And her telling me that, I never did it again. That's one really good reason why you need critiques. People will see what you don't see, what you're blind to. So people will help you see. Okay, what does see mean? It means proportion problems. It means your tunnel vision. It means they will help you draw in a way that pleases them, not really pleases them like theme wise, realistically. They'll help you build towards drawing realistically. So that's too much to write, but remember that. Also, this connects to this reason. You have tunnel vision when you draw. Someone else, even without them being artists, can help you see asymmetry, odd proportions, stiffness, weird expressions. They will help you see that. So people who aren't even versed in art will help you see past your tunnel vision. They'll help break down your tunnel vision. This is even if you manage to catch your own mistakes. There are mistakes that you will never see, just like this point here, and all of these will lead to fast improvement, efficient improvement, improvement that you would never have made in 3 months' time. Longer than that, until 3 months' time passed before you saw that mistake on your own. Someone can just show it to you, and in a matter of days, you don't make that mistake anymore. That's amazing. That's what we need. That's what we all need as artists. We need to improve. So people will help you see. Um, your audience, that's who we're talking about. So let me get rid of that. Tunnel vision. Okay, so people will help you see. People are also your audience. Okay, what does this mean? They are the people you're drawing for. They are the people you will draw for. They, as a whole, as a collective, are people who you will be drawing for. People who will see your art, who will see what you put into your art. Art is not art if it's not being looked at. I don't know how to, well, it's good that it expresses some stuff, but this is all beside, expression and self realization and all of that. Just art as a technicality, like as something technical that we can look at. Um, People are your audience. It needs to be viewed so that you can deliver some sort of message, so you can create a character and deliver their message. If people are your audience, you need to hear from them. That's the business model from anything. You need to hear from your customers. You need to hear from your children if you're parents. You need to communicate, and your audience is who you need to communicate with. If you're not listening to your audience, you'll never be able to draw for an audience. That is a very severe problem. You'll find that art is no longer fun. You will no longer get recognition, or people, not recognition, but not recognition as some sort of notoriety, but recognition as just people looking at your art. No one will look at it. No one will give you feedback. You won't have a conversation with anybody. When I first started out in DeviantArt, people would favorite my work, and I'd get hundreds of favorites, and then I would still feel empty because I'd be like, okay, I just got a bunch of favorites on this, but what's the point? No one's commenting. I wanted to create art that people commented on. So that's when I really started to look out for who was creating art that people were commenting on. It wasn't just because they had a million favorites or they were popular. People who created really moving work. So that's when I started thinking about my audience. What are they getting from my work? And critiques help you achieve that. Either you critique yourself and say, listen, you're not drawing any specific message, you're not conveying anything. The art is not realistic enough for it to convey any mood or beauty, or realism helps you reach your audience. That's a given. So when you're not thinking about your audience, you're not thinking about what their opinion is, and you have to separate your pride from this. You have to realize, if you're going to be an artist, you got to just shut down your pride. You got to shut down your ego, because it's going to stop you from improving. It's very difficult to learn that you don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to say that with as much delicacy as possible. It's not easy for some guy to just strut in and tell you, hey, you don't know what you're doing. You did this wrong. It's never easy to learn that. What you have to do is remember to not take it personally. It's never a personal thing. And if one of your audience members comes in and says, hey, that girl looks like a guy, they're talking out of a real knowledge of what they know a guy to look like and what they know a girl to look like. And they'll tell you that, and they'll express it in their own clunky way. They'll express it to you. And you have to remember that this is your audience. So if they're seeing that problem, it's there. You can't go and say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And please don't use this fucking excuse. I wanted it to be like that. I intended that. That's what I wanted. That's what I was going for. It's supposed to look like that. That's like the flag, the instant flag that you're not accepting the critique. That's the instant flag that somehow, some way, someone poked a nerve. It's don't ever wear your heart on your sleeve. Like, people say this all the time, like, kill your baby. When you paint an amazing painting, remember, if you can, this is another quote that I heard from that same artist that day I was watching television. So funny how I learned my lessons watching television. But he said, if you can rip up your drawing and draw it again exactly as you drew it before. Imagine if you drew something amazing and you can rip it up and draw it again. That's when you know that you're an amazing artist. That's when you know that you've really improved, because you know exactly what you did to get to it. It wasn't accidental. So, until you get to that point where you know exactly what you're doing, most of your drawings are going to be accidental anyways, so it's no point to holding on to your art so deeply and emotionally, and just like, every time someone says something about your art, your heart gets torn to pieces. That's terrible. That's a terrible attitude to have if you're trying to improve, especially if you know you have weaknesses, especially if you can't draw a body yet, you can't draw arms yet, you can't draw a hand yet, you draw eyes very weakly. Like, if you know you're not the best of the best, if that every drawing you draw right now is a study and an accidental success, you have to be humble and you have to be able to accept that you are drawing for another person's eyes. And if that other person's eyes catches a problem, they're going to mention it, because you're comparing your drawing to the real world. I'm sorry, but no matter what we draw, we're always comparing it to the real world. We're always trying to capture the movement of light on color. We're always trying to capture the subtleties and tones, and when we construct something in form. We're always comparing it to the real world. And believe it or not, your drawing is not there yet, and you have to be able to accept that for now, until a point where you come to, like, a point in your life where you know exactly what you're doing. You know how little you know in one subject, but you know that you've kind of become very proficient in another subject, and you know that's what you want to work on. You're going to make intentional mistakes which lead to style. At that point, maybe you can start rejecting critique, because you know that that's what the person was supposed to see. You intentionally made those mistakes. But until then, you can't use that excuse if it's obvious you have not a full understanding of lighting, if it's obvious you haven't done enough studies for a face. It becomes obvious. So remember, when people who aren't artists come to you and, in an insulting way, seemingly insulting way, tell you, hey, this looks wrong to me, use that as an opportunity. Jump on it. That's an opportunity for you to improve, to become a better artist. So that's another really amazing reason to accept critiques. And another massive reason for accepting critiques is that getting critiques is part of being in a community. Remember, in my previous video, I talked about how important it is to be in a community, because your art will always suck if you don't join a community, period. Either it's like a group of people or one person. I was lucky enough to have, like, a friend who got me through. She was my community in art. She really just didn't didn't hold back. She made sure I knew exactly kind of mistake that I made, and I thank her for that. And that was the person I had, like, right after elementary school straight into high school. That's when I really took art very seriously. And without her being there to critique my work, she blew my pride out of the water every time, and I kind of hated her for it. We're best friends, but she blew my pride out of the water every time. And I remember that my pride really was in the way. If I had just been a little less proud, or I had not taken it so seriously, I probably would have improved way more. But every time she gave me a critique the next day, whether I liked it or not, I used that in my head. So your community is another massive, sorry, I don't know how I spelled that, reason. It's another massive reason for why you should accept critiques. But another one is you're gonna listen anyway. You're gonna listen anyway. Whether you show it or not, you're going to listen. So don't be that sourpuss, don't be that person who always rejects critiques every time he gets one but ends up listening to them anyway, because you're going to push people away like that. You're going to push away your community. Community is a very big factor of community is friendship and trust. I know that sounds like some sort of My Little Pony thing, but friendship and trust is what you kind of what you should look for in the person who's critiquing you, and what you should give back to people. They should be able to trust you enough to give you a critique so you don't blow up in their face every time. There's some people that I know right now today that I never give critiques for because I don't trust them to listen to it. If I give a critique, and you guys know me, I am long-winded. I will write like a frigate. I will waterfall their chat and just give them like all my knowledge, everything that I know. I will just pour it, from technicalities, from brushwork, everything. Just throw it over there, and they'll either I know that they'll either refute every point I make, they'll accept some of it, but they'll just try to, ride their way out of ever accepting any kind of painful truth. So I avoid them. I avoid them completely. And there's some people who I trust completely to give them a critique. Every time I give them a critique, I know that I have been listened to. So that's me as a teacher. I have experience with that. But what about a person who who doesn't know as much, who knows as much as you do, who is a student just like you? And every time they come to you, you either refute what they're saying, you tell them they don't know what they're talking about, or you just push them away because they are at the same level as you, so they might not whatever they say might automatically seem like it's wrong because they're not more advanced than you. That takes me to my next point, which is knowledge. So all of this was not knowledge related. This was all anybody who's not an artist can come to you. People will help you see stuff. Your audience is really important. Listen to your audience so you can create art for an audience, for a large group of people. If you want to take art seriously and work in art and have a career, you're going to paint for an audience, whether you'll like it or not. You're going to have to do that. And so listening to your boss, your employer, your art director is really important. But that's without knowledge. Forget knowledge for a sec. Art knowledge. Your community is really important. You need a community to improve, and you're going to listen anyway. You might as well listen with humility, with a good personality, with a good attitude. So have a good attitude. Have a good attitude. Okay? But these next points are all knowledge related. Someone recommended that I just increase the size of the canvas instead of trying to fit everything in, so I'm going to listen to them. Okay, so these factors that are coming up are knowledge related. They are the reason behind them, why you should accept critiques, is because they know more than you. So these are not knowledge related. These are. Okay, whoa. Sorry, my writing is all messed up. They know knowledge more on the subject. What does that mean? It means they have experience. They have traveled on the road of art and have successfully treaded it and have reached their destination in that particular department, be it portraiture or figure drawing or gestures or whatever. They've done that job that you're currently trying to do. So in having completed it, that gives them some level, like just at least some, they warrant some respect from you. Just in the fact that they have completed that one job. They don't have to be a pro. They don't even have to be your teacher. They can just be another student that clearly seems to be able to render something better than you do. They must have done a lot of studies on the subject. And experience, my saying is, and I write this on my agenda, at the beginning of every year I get a new planner. And I write this, endurance is experience. If someone has endured more than you in a particular subject matter, endurance doesn't have to mean pain. It just means like you've sat there and endured it, whether be it knowledge or some sort of craft. They know more than you, period. The fact that they've been there, even without theory or application, just that they've sat there and dealt with it means they have something to give. They warrant some level of respect. At least just give them a minute of your time just so that you can hear what they have to say. I truly believe that old people have so much to teach us. Just because they're old, that just because they're our elders, we have something to learn from them. Because of the way their attitudes on subjects comes with lots of maturity. So look out for those people who have endured those kinds of studies before. Ask them, hey, what was it like doing 90 days of hand studies? Can you please help me with my hands right now? They'll give you some really good, really, really strong, effective advice. Even if they're not teachers, even if they're not trained in teaching, even if they do a really clumsy job of explaining it to you, and they're not the greatest orators, they still will make a difference in your art. When someone knows more than you, they are at a point where they see your mistakes. It's not because that's where the pride problem comes in. They're not higher than you, looking down at you. They are over here, and you're on the start, and they're closer to the finish, and they're just looking back, telling you, hey, I'm over here, I see what's coming up, I've seen what's coming up, I see all those obstacles, I'm telling you, you have to do this in order to get over this. And that's what it is. It's not a pride issue. It's not that they're better than you, it's that they have actually completed the journey. So have some trust, have some faith in them, and it doesn't kill you to develop a friendship, because you will push away people and their insight, which is so important to you, something that you have to it's like you reap what you sow. Something that you have to really invest your time into is being an approachable person that gives critiques and gets critiques in a community. A community there's not a lot of politics in it, but there is a lot of drama. And you have to look out for those people that are being toxic, that aren't accepting anything. That leads me to my next point. Because they are people, despite the fact that this person truly, obviously knows what they're talking about, this person is refusing it, and they're inventing their own road, or they're trying to take shortcuts and cut through the mountain obstacle, which is hands, evil hands, probably the tallest obstacle. They are people who are very toxic. And these people come as artists and as critiquers. And this is the only time I will tell you don't accept critiques, is if you are being critiqued. When should you not listen to critiques? So when not to listen to critiques. Okay? It's if they're using critiques to insult you. If there's a lot of pride in it. There's a lot of pride. Just know, just automatically, just by default, you are a proud artist, period. There's no one can come in here and say, oh, I have no pride, I'm great, I'm humble. Just by you saying that means you're proud. So don't be proud. And try not to push your pride into the way you interact with artists when they give you, because that's what leads to toxicity. That's what makes you an undesirable in a critique community. So when you have that amount of pride that you have, and someone insults you, you will automatically refute. You will automatically not be able to listen to them. And that's okay. And I'm telling you, don't listen to them. If someone comes in and says, hey, your drawing looks like shit, it's because the lighting feels weird, and they kind of give you some points here and there, but they're being altogether assholes, don't listen to that critique. I don't care if they have all the points in there. If they've mentioned you or your lack of knowledge in an insulting way, or they've tried to represent you in a diminutive sort of manner as an unknowing novice, or just with their pride insulted your pride, just shut them down. Say, you know what? Goodbye. This is not constructive criticism, and that's the key. If it's not constructive, tell them, hey, see you later. I look out for these people in my critique community. These people the toxics usually avoid critique communities altogether. They're very insecure. That's the word for them. They're very proud. If you give them any critiques that they, in their mind, seem unwarranted, even if they were really polite and they really came out of an honest place in your heart, if they hear from you, it means that you have insulted them. Even if it was with a stressed level of mannerism that you applied to it, like an over amount of manners. If you give them the most basic critique, they will explode in your face, and they'll say that you have nerve or audacity to even mention their amazing art. It's really very sad when you find people like that. So those are the people that avoid critiques, critique communities altogether. They're pretty much loners in their development. So constructive critiques are constructive people, not destructive people, which are the toxics, are the people that you find in communities. But I still look out for these toxics in the community. I'm so happy to say I haven't found any. And it's because whenever someone gives you critiques with a real source of knowledge behind them, you know you can trust them. That's why you guys kind of have to accept the reason of them knowing more than you as one of the major reasons why you should listen to critiques. Just the fact that they know more than you is a reason enough for them to give you critique. If they know more than you and they're being assholes about it, shut them down. Say, you know what, your attitude is not constructive, you're destructive, I can't listen to this because you're trying to insult my pride, and I'm going to be caught up in dealing with how you hurt me before I actually listen to the advice that you gave, the half-ass advice anyway, and actually apply it to my art. I'm busy. My art, everything is riding on this, and I don't have time to waste with it, just like a toxic person. So you have to be able to separate, when someone really is insulting you. This is really important. Listen to me. When someone is really insulting you, and when someone isn't trying to insult you, and you're kind of forcing being insulted, you have to have like some sort of wisdom, some sort of like way to figure it out, some sort of way to know when you are doing it yourself to yourself and you're just reading their words wrong, and when they really are insulting you. That's important. Don't waste time being insulted. Either way, don't waste time being insulted. Whether you're the toxic person or you're the like the victim of the toxicity, because all that time could be done trying. All that time could be done listening. I have never drawn a long neck. Maybe I drew like one or two long necks, but I like actively try not to draw a neck because what my sister said, I was so proud of that princess that I drew, and I took it to her, and then she's like, "Ew, the neck is so long." I swear I'll never forget that. I remember even the exact room in the house and like how the room was arranged because it just shot me. I couldn't believe I didn't see it, and it was an insult. So both my pride and my outer pride and my inner artist were insulted. And I was just, oh wow, I can't believe I did that. And wow, she's a bitch. But anyways, don't tell her I said that. But it's so important for you guys to listen, and it's so important for you to be able to weed out the crap. And I know it's difficult to listen to someone talk on and on, period, but not just that, talk on and on about how bad you did. So it's not easy to listen to people, and it's not easy to listen to people talking about what you need to, what's left for you to do after you've done all the work on your drawing and you show it to someone and they're like, hey, this and this are wrong. It sucks. It really sucks. I'm telling you guys, I've been there. I felt it. And it's never easy to listen to someone and their advice for you. Just remember that getting critiques is part of being in a community. So everyone else is feeling your crap. Everyone else is feeling your pain too, I promise. Everyone is there with you. If you guys just try to think about that, I know it's really lame to use this word, but it's a brotherhood. You guys have to remember that you're suffering together, and even if the person knows less than you, just even if someone didn't know art, they still have a right to be able to, like, they still have, if they're not blind, they will be able to see what's wrong with your image. Like, blind people don't see at all. So that's why I'm avoiding adding them to the group. But everybody else who can see normally, well, just by seeing their visual library is developed by the world, right? They see realism every day when they go outside to walk around. They see realism every single day. When they see odd proportions, they'll say, wow, that guy's got a big head. So they'll be able to tell you when they look at your art, just by being humans and just by looking outside and having eyes that function, they'll be able to tell you your drawing looks like a guy with a big head. I've never seen anybody with a big head like that. And if I did, I would have pointed it out in real life as well. Like, that's what I'm trying to say, is that even if it's a person who doesn't know how to draw, so when someone who is drawing, who's not necessarily as advanced as you, can still give you a critique, can still say, this looks odd to me. The eyes look a little bit crossed. The nose looks a little bit tilted or broken. Something looks odd. Something's just odd about it. They won't be able to articulate it, but just the fact that they're not responding to your drawing gives you, should be like an instant warning for you. Hey, you did something wrong with the proportions. And finally, when they critique by comparing the image of something that you made to the toxic people who you shouldn't listen to, like something comical, or they're making fun of it, or it's something really sucky and they insult you, you can still get away with it. You can still get away with something. You can still get something out of it. You can choose not to be insulted. So you can listen to the people who have knowledge. You can listen to people who don't have art knowledge, and you can listen to the toxics and benefit from all three of them. And it's just, critiques are so valuable, and we don't come across them a lot, and as much as we need to as artists when we're growing up, because we're too proud to join communities. Some of us are too toxic to ever join communities and provide critique or get critique. And they don't realize it's like a double-edged sword. Not a double-edged sword, but it's like a two-way street. You have to be able to like give and accept critiques, and these people are really the kind of the people that you should avoid all around. But even then, even when they insult you, there's still a reason to listen to them, because I think they choose it as a reason to insult you. They jump on the insult train, but it's coming out of a real. Sometimes they just insult you for the hell of it because they're assholes, and you can see, like, you can tell. But sometimes these people come in with a real, I guess, God bless them, they really do want to help you, but they're just assholes all around. They have a really crappy attitude and bad, they don't have people skills. So what they do is they accidentally insult you and really don't care if they did. So they accidentally do it and don't care to fix it. Those people, you can still get something out of what they say, and you can still find a way to apply it to your work. So that's it for my video. I know it was a bit clunky. I'm kind of in a rush today. I have no time nowadays. I'm trying so hard to make time for YouTube exclusive videos just to talk to you guys and have a conversation with you. But I hope this video helps. I hope it gives you like a way to think about critiques as a whole. They're all for your benefit. They don't take anything away from you. Being able to listen to other people means that you're developing and maturing, and that's what happens. The passage of time is a given. You're gonna have to pass some time as you learn and as you draw. So might as well grow, internally and externally, as you draw better. As you learn to draw better, you're growing into a much nicer person, a much more patient person. And art, if it takes anything, it takes patience. And so learning to listen to critiques, why you should learn to listen to critiques. One final, massive, amazing piece of advice is it teaches you patience. Okay, patience is needed to improve. Patience is needed for art. Patience is needed for everything. Sorry about my crazy writing. I usually like cursive, but you guys won't be able to read anything if I write in cursive. It's so messy. So that's it. We have a class this week on Tuesday. So it'll be like random critique hour again. So it'll be random paintings. It won't be theme specific. I will try to do a landscape critique hour day on Thursday, or I might push it into the week after that as a theme week for landscapes. So that'll be nice, finally talking about landscape, not just portraiture all the time. And you can talk about rules of depth and perspective, all that amazing fun stuff that comes with landscapes. And I will see you guys around. Thanks for listening to me today. I know this video was really long, but have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.